If you dread looking at credit card statements, you're not alone. Debt can feel crippling, but our show sponsor, Upstart, can help you on your path to financial freedom. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows you're more than just a credit score, and it's expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate on your loan. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate up front for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. You can receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/Chael. Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler. Look, let's get into this, guys, because a lot is open for interpretation. Truly. Okay. Nick's walking to the ring. I mean, let's start right there because it's a very different looking Nick Diaz. What do you make of that? Can you remember this point of your life? Can you remember as you saw him walking to the ring? And I was in the arena live. Oh my goodness, this place. I mean, what's the expression? They blew the roof off it. Nick gets in there. But there was no middle fingers. And there wasn't a single scowl look. And anytime an athlete has an approach, the approach is so important. When the approach is different than what you're used to, you ask yourself, as the viewer, you ask yourself, why? And what does this mean? Now, you only got a couple of minutes to get your bets on the table because Bruce Buffer is going to get the hell out of the way, and we're going to find out. Now, the fight starts. Let's get the bad news out of the way. There was no feints. There was no footwork. There was no head movement by Nick Diaz. The other side of the coin, why do you need those things? You need those things for two reasons. One, so you don't get hit. He wasn't getting hit. He really wasn't. Lawler was coming at him with heat, with bad intentions, particularly early. Nick wasn't getting hit. Nick could see everything. Nick has what we call good eyes. He knows range. He knows distance. He knows how to roll. He doesn't need the big ducks. He doesn't need the big movements that a lot of fighters have. He can slip 3 inches and a punch will go by him. He can roll this way and maybe get hit but absorb it in a different way. Lawler's doing a great job. Lawler's digging to the body. Lawler's coming back up. Nick, eyes wide open, not even blinking, knows right where he is. He's slipping, and then Nick starts throwing back. Nick, death by 1,000 cuts, right? That has been his philosophy and strategy from day one. The only thing that was different here is about 20 seconds went by in the contest before Nick threw that first punch. But once he started throwing, he started landing. And he was doing what Coach Clayton will call punches in bunches. Meaning Nick doesn't throw a shot. He doesn't throw a shot. No, if one can land, then the second can too. If the second can land, why isn't there a third? Nick starts digging to the body. Nick starts coming upstairs. Landing a body shot, guys, is extremely difficult. You do not see very many of them in all of MMA. I mean, if you think of like Jose Aldo, you think of Uriah Faber, like some guys that really go to the body, you could probably count them on one hand how many meaningful body shots you've seen, or at least how many competitors have thrown meaningful body shots. Very rare. And it's always off of a setup. Sometimes the setup is defensively. Guys coming at you, duck outside, turn it over and go to that liver. Maybe you throw a straight, you dip to the other side, you're coming to the kidney. Something happens though. Nick, lead body shot, extremely difficult to do. I bring that to you because as I'm putting him down for his flinches or lack thereof, for his head movement and footwork or lack thereof, he was still showing that he'd been in the gym, that he had worked on some skills. I've seen plenty of Nick Diaz body shots, as have you. I'm talking about a lead with no setup. Body shot, very different. Improvement only comes from the gym, and he's protecting himself at all times. Now, Robbie Lawler, stubborn as all hell, comes out, makes this a stand-up fight. We predicted that. No surprise here. Robbie Lawler, to Robbie's credit, is pressing Nick forward. You take that out, you take the pressure forward of Robbie Lawler, you're going to have a very hard time deciding who won those first 2 rounds that saw completion. You're going to have a very hard time. I suspect Robbie Lawler won both of those rounds. Those official scorecards will come out. I don't have access to that yet. I will predict for you all three judges gave it to Robbie Lawler. I will also just tell you, if Robbie wasn't walking Nick down, I'm not certain that he's winning those rounds. I mean, Nick was firing back as well. A little bit less power, but that's the way Nick fights. High accumulation. Nick was really getting some output. No clinch work, no knees, no elbows, very few kicks, though they did exist. We were seeing glimpses of Nick Diaz. We never once, in the walkout or in the fight, saw the eye of the tiger. There's an eye that Nick Diaz will put on his opponent. Nate will do the same thing. We didn't see that from Nick. But again, it's open for interpretation. There's many athletes who later in their career, or in this case in a comeback fight, have matured in such a way that it ends up being a positive. We don't know at this point. We don't know. And as they're going into the third round, I leaned to my partner Ryan and I said, the fight should be over in this round. Don't forget that. There's two fights taking place tonight. The standard fight that everybody else where a belt isn't on the line is going to contest, which is 3 rounds. This one's then going to have another fight, which is 5 rounds, and it's going to be interesting as the viewer to see, does the same guy win both of those? Does Robbie Lawler win a standard fight? Should it be stopped 15 minutes in? Does Nick Diaz find a way to come back and win tonight's fight, which is going to be contested over 5 rounds? It's very different. As you're watching this, just small things, but you can enjoy, and they're talking points. They're things to get you started. Why would Robbie Lawler not go for a takedown? Because he's a stubborn son of a bitch. I can't do anything about it. Robbie doesn't listen to me. He's never going to listen to me. And he wants to stand up with Nick Diaz. Why? Well, I think maybe Robbie had this one right. Only in hindsight, not in theory. In theory and in principle, I am right. Take Nick down. Robbie stood with him. So at one point, Nick, the end of the fight, takes a knee. Robbie throws an uppercut right to the face. Nick falls backwards. Robbie gives Nick a chance to continue, tells him get up, steps away. The referee gives Nick a chance to continue, talks to him. Go ahead and get up. Come towards your opponent. He's over there. Nick says, no, I'm done. This is the part where I'm telling you it's open for interpretation. I thought perhaps, again, Nick goes down to a knee. Robbie throws an uppercut right to the face. I thought perhaps that uppercut went right on the nose and busted a guy's nose. If you've ever had your nose broken, it's a different kind of pain. There's a lot of things in fighting that can do damage. There's a lot of things that can stop the fight. There's much less things, believe it or not, that cause an actual pain. A broken nose is very, very painful. It would surprise me if Nick Diaz, of all people, couldn't deal with that pain, but I'm still trying to digest what I just saw. They show a replay. It looked as though, again, Nick's down on the knee. Robbie throws that final shot. It looked as though Nick slipped it. It still landed. It hit the face. I don't believe it hit and or broke the nose, and I also don't believe that is what caused the end of the fight. I believe Nick had already made that decision when he came down to the knee. Open for interpretation. Only Nick would know. In all fairness, even at this point in time, right, 30 minutes later, Nick may not remember. In all fairness, Nick may have already rewritten it in his head. I believe, my final analysis, Nick came to fight. Nick fought. Nick had enough. I don't have a problem with it. I don't. I've avoided one word, which is quit. I understand that Nick quit. I understand that officially when you verbally surrender, when the opponent is not near you, let alone touching you, I get it. I'm staying away from that word because a gentleman who's coming back after 5 years lost to be put in a situation where he's going to go 5 full rounds in the first place, I think is tough. I don't agree with it. I'm not a prude in the sport. I'm not. I just don't agree with that. I think it's because I'm in the 5-round club. I think it's because how hard and how close I came to not making it in perfect shape, staying active, competing a regular schedule. It is an extremely unique thing. It's a unique thing. You could fight your entire career. You could fight a beautiful career where you get signed to the UFC. You get signed to Bellator. You're fighting these top organizations you're dreaming of, and you never make it to the spot on the card where you even have a 5-round contract. Then to have that contract and actually see all 25 minutes, guys, it's very rare. It's a very rare club to be in. I do believe that this was mental. I don't suggest for you, and I don't want to say quit because I don't think Nick was hurt. I also don't believe Nick was exhausted, which is the number one reason somebody would quit in a fight. I think that Nick was more tired than Nick is used to being. And I think Nick saw the finish line as being very distant. Sports psychologists will refer to that as taking inventory. So for Nick to take inventory would look something like this. We've gone 10 minutes. I've lost all 10 minutes. We are now in the third round. I'm starting to lose this one. There's 2 rounds left. If I don't win those, why in the hell am I going to take 200 more punches? What's the point of that? Get frustrated. Stop. Could be a decision he instantly regrets. I don't know. Thought Nick was pretty cool. In all fairness, I did. He didn't scowl after the fact. He didn't middle finger after the fact. He didn't grab the microphone after the fact. He was very consistent. And he said one thing that stood out. And it's another reason that I really refuse to use the word quit. Even if that's what we say, I don't use the word. I think that he was in a very tough circumstance. I think that he represented himself very well, possibly better than he knew at the time. Those were very close rounds, very hard to judge. Some of the numbers even favored Nick. I think the pressure favored Robbie. I think the power favored Robbie. But things that perhaps in the moment Nick didn't know. And Nick said, I knew I had it coming. He said, I knew I had it coming. He did not finish the thought. There was no follow-up on the question. Nick, explain yourself. So again, open to interpretation. I believe I know exactly what it means. There is a price that you must pay to succeed in this sport. And when you are in the locker room, before you ever leave to put that walk in, to place your mouthpiece and to step in the cage, you will ask yourself, did I pay that price? I know what the price is. Did I pay it? Do I deserve to win? No matter how hard Nick worked, no matter how disciplined Nick was, he removed himself from competition for 5 years, stepped into a 5-round fight against a world champion. Look, that's a lot to ask of anybody. And when Nick said, I knew I had it coming, I believe that that was Nick answering the question, did I pay the price? Do I deserve this? Now Nick is in a unique spot. And it is very incumbent that Nick understand that he must define himself now before Dana does. And that definition needs to be, because there's a business side and there's a sports side, right? Nick has played that business side a very long time, but at some point, he was that competitor. He needs to get a hold of Dana and he needs to say, I know we have a contract, no games, nothing to talk about. Let's honor the contract, but get me in there immediately. I had rust, I had fatigue, I had doubt. That's going to get worse if I separate. I am a competitor. He needs to remind Dana of this. I'm a competitor. I want to compete. Now, the next move is Nick's. But I am not looking at this night for Nick as a complete loss. I am seeing in here where it is an opportunity, but the move and the decision moving forward is on Nick, and the time is right now.